Hello and welcome to the Forged Lines Forever Rookie Guide number 2. In this video I'm going to give a brief explanation on how the rating on Forged Lines Forever works. So when you start the game you are going to be on 0 rating and 0 games, but this is going to change. And how much it's going to change and into which direction is going to depend on whether you win or lose, and it's also going to depend on who you play against. So let's take this as an example. We consider the situation from the perspective of Paul. And Paul is a fictional Empire player, the best clan Forged Lines Forever. And Paul is 1200 rated, and he has 700 games. And as such, he classifies loosely as an average Joe, right? And let's say Paul is going to play against the Scallywag. Scallywag is, well, I don't want to call it moron or idiot, because that would be insulting to actual morons and idiots. Scallywag is supposed to be a little funny, but it's actually worse. So Scallywag has 4,000 games, so he's quite experienced, but he's still stuck at 300 rating. So he hasn't been trying to improve. He hasn't been trying to get any competitive experience at this game, and just been fooling around. So he's been consistently bad, you can say. And the balance system is going to know that. So with 300 rating, he's already been being considered quite bad. And he's been consistently bad because of all the high game count, right? And that's why if Paul loses against the Scallywag, Paul is going to lose a lot of rating. Let's say he loses 100 rating or 200 rating in one game if he plays against him. But if Paul wins against the Scallywag, he's going to have very low gains in rating, right? So this axis is actually relevant here. Scallywag is on the left. So if Paul wins, he's going to get low gains. If Paul loses, he's going to have high losses because of the game count and the rating of the Scallywag, right? And next we consider the beginner. The beginner is going to be a little different. So the beginner is better than the Scallywag in rating, and the beginner also has a lower game count. And that's why the balance system is going to rate him higher than the Scallywag. And this is not only because of the higher rating, this is also because of the lower game count. So the beginner has been, maybe he has been bad, right? You could possibly say that, but he hasn't been consistently bad yet. So he still has room to improve, since after 100 games, the balance system is not going to be sure about whether the beginner is actually going to stay bad, right? So and that's how you can, consider it. And well, if Paul is going to win against the beginner, he's not going to get a lot of rating, but he's still going to get more rating than winning against the Scallywag, right? Because the beginner is actually going to give him a fight compared to the Scallywag. And if Paul is going to lose against the beginner, he's also going to lose more rating, right? But more than against the Scallywag, not as much as against the average Joe, I guess, right? And again, it's not just the rating that matters, it's also the game count, whether people have been consistent in their performance. So now we consider the average Joe. If you have Paul and let him play against the average Joe, that's going to be 100% balance percentage, or very close to that. And if Paul is going to win or lose, he's going to win or lose the same rating as his opponent, pretty much. Because they have the same rating and the same game count, right? So this is the best risk hedging, if you wish. So if Paul doesn't know if he's going to win or lose, and he's playing against this guy, then the losses and the gains in rating are actually balancing each other out perfectly in the expected value consideration. And that's as balanced as a game gets, I guess, right? And let's say Paul is now playing against the veteran, and the veteran has 1,600 rating and 2,000 games. So the veteran has been on the upper end of the rating scale, and he's been consistently good over the course of many games. So the balance system is going to know that the veteran is not going to improve as easily, because after already piling up as much as 2,000 games, it's probably going to take him a couple more thousands of games to increase his rating even higher. But the 1,600 is of course a lot, right? So if Paul is going to win against the veteran, he's going to get a lot of rating, and if he loses, he's going to lose comparably little rating. But if you compare this to like a person who just started playing and only has 20 games and already the same rating as a veteran, then the situation is going to be different. Because here, the player has been good, but he has not been consistently good. And that's why the balance system is going to assume that this player can still improve a lot, right? And that's why Paul is going to get way more rating if he wins against this player who has the lower game count than against the veteran, right? So you can see between here and here, there's just a difference in game count. But the difference in game count actually means that if Paul wins, he wins more rating, and if Paul loses, he loses less rating. Okay, so that's how it works. And just to compare this, we assume a pro with 2,300 rating and compare him to this guy. And you can see the pro has way higher game count, so he has been consistently good. But this improvement of this guy, that is being like forecasted by the balance system pretty much, already happened to the pro. So this is not like perfect math, this is not practice proven, but this is just like giving you some idea or intuition about how this works. So if somebody has a relatively high rating on a relatively low game count, that's actually the same of having a much higher rating on a much higher game count in terms of how it will affect Paul's rating. If Paul wins, he's going to get very high gains in rating, and if Paul loses, he's going to have very low losses in rating. So I hope this video gave you some idea about the interaction between the rating and the game count. Both actually matter, and just keep in mind that the balance system is rather optimistic when it considers people with a low game count. So sometimes it happens that people get carried by good teams in team games after they just start playing, and that's why they have unrealistically high rating. Then these people should just lose a couple of games and it's going to be fine afterwards. But just keep playing, I guess, if that happens to you. And you should also keep in mind that the game count of Paul is going to determine how volatile his rating is. So the higher your game count is, the more difficult it is to change your rating. And the lower your game count is, the more your rating increases after a win or decreases after a loss. But of course, a game count and rating interact, so always consider these two together. If you have any questions, please let me know, and enjoy FAF.